can come back and pick up the first couple minutes. Pretty easy. When we're done with this session, I would say within an hour, it'll be posted back to Blackboard. And that's where I want to begin. I want to show you what I've put in place and then walk you through a couple things so you know what to do and the tools I've made available to you. And then we'll get started on the content. Right now, I should be sharing my screen out to you. You should see my Blackboard screen. If you can, raise your hand. Yep, that's enough. I could tell by the... Okay. Moving on. So, do you see there's a new item up here in Blackboard? You should see my cursor moving. It says Collaborate Live Classroom. When I select this, it takes me to a link, which is the live classroom one, and I see I made the I capital, which I'll fix later. And then underneath this link, I will put the recordings of each session, and they'll just be in order as we do them. So, this live classroom, I'm going to try something with you guys that I've never done before. I made one live classroom, or one room, and I'm going to leave it permanently open, and I've made you all presenters. So you have the same privileges in here that I have. So as we come back to the live classroom screen, you should see in the bottom right corner a purple tab with lines or stuff on it. Do you see those? And it's okay to put your mics back on for now. Go ahead and turn your mics on so you can give me feedback as I ask questions. So can you see the purple on the bottom right, the purple pull tab?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you pull that out, do you have options such as share blank, whiteboard, share application, share files?
Yep.
So I'll have one person, and I'm going to pick on Nuzo right now. I want you to
Of course you are.
Of course I will. That's what I do. I want you to click share files and tell me if you see, how many files do you see in there?
3.
Perfect. And if you can get to them, I'm going to assume everybody can get to them. Now, this is why I gave you the same privileges that I have. You can share out your screen or an application that's called application/screen. You simply click share application, and when it opens up, you have to pick the screen that you want. In case you have multiple screens open, you pick the screen you want, and then you pick share, and then your screen gets shared out. I'm going to stop sharing mine, and let's see here. Lainey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I want you to see if you can share your screen, and if we'll all see it or not.
Wait, how do I do it? I'm confused.
Okay. I skipped a step there, and I'm glad you asked that, because now I know I skipped it. In the bottom right, do you see the purple pull tab?
Yeah.
When you select that, you have 4 icons. The first one is if you want to text while the presenter's speaking. You can text the whole group or individuals. The second one
I'm
shows...
on the share files thing.
Yeah. Well, the second one shows who's in the room, and then the third one is a folder. If you click on that third one, you should see the 3 options: share blank, whiteboard, share application screen, share files. Do you see those?
Okay.
I want you to select share application/screen. And when you do, a little box will come up, and you have to pick which screen you want to share. And then you have to click share in the bottom corner of that box.
Okay.
Now, once you do that, pick a screen other than the virtual classroom. Doesn't look like it's working, does it?
No.
Did anybody else follow those directions?
Yeah.
Does somebody else want to try? And if so, tell me who's trying. Whoa, I got somebody. Haley, you got it to work. Now, all you have to do is pick a screen other than the virtual classroom. Go back to the course site screen or content. Yeah, that one. All right. So you guys are able to share your own computer screens with each other now because you're presenters. Now, Haley, in the upper right corner, do you see that circle with a square in it? Click it.
Yeah.
And that stops the sharing.
Oh.
Now, I want somebody else. Lauren, are you there?
Yeah. You want me to open up Blackboard and show it?
Nope, I want you to open up
Or
a
just
blank
my
white.
screen?
Oh, actually, Lauren, before you do it, does anybody have a touch screen that they're working with right now?
I do.
Okay, you have to name yourself.
Abby.
Abby, open and share a blank whiteboard and then write hello on it.
Hold on. Oops, I broke it. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Did it share?
Now, as a group, if you guys can see Abby's hello, raise your hand. I think I got all of you. Go ahead and put your hands down. Jordan.
I don't know how to get rid of this now.
Okay, Abby, in the top right corner, you see a circle with a square in it.
Oh, okay.
And we're back. So, you guys are allowed to show your cameras because my internet's a lot stronger than Mr. Leeds. I see he has you guys very well trained. So, that was my quick tour of Collaborate. And with Collaborate, like I said, I have created a single classroom. I'm going to leave that classroom open, and I've given you guys full control as presenters. Now, what that means is you can get in here in small groups at any time and work on any of the stuff, talk with each other, you know, and do that if you so choose. And if you choose not to use it, that's fine too. We're going to go now to share files.
Dr. Kreiner,
Yeah.
do you know when the final exam is going to be? Do you have any idea?
I don't yet, and I don't have a definitive answer yet on how Pitt's going to handle all of this. But what we're going to do is I'm going to make sure you're prepared for it.
Okay.
You know, whatever way it comes. So, any other quick questions before we get started? If you do, raise your hand, and then I'll call on you one at a time. That way we don't have everyone talking at once. Okay, then let's get started. Under the shared files, I'm going to push one of the files out to you, but I want to talk about the three files I have here. First, I have the PowerPoint of the Integumentary System. I know and remember that we've pretty much finished the PowerPoint on that, but we didn't finish with the unit test. I want to go back and review the Integumentary System, and because we've already done this in class, I think this is a great place to start because it's not really new material. You'll also see the detailed lecture outline. As I'm going through these slides, you may want to download this detailed lecture outline and have that on the side there, or download it and use it later as review. The third item that's in there is the exam bank of questions. And the reason I put these here is so that you guys could open them up and work on them together in a group, in a small group, however you'd want to do that. Okay? So, whoops. And we'll start there. Now, you should see the slideshow, do you? I'm assuming you do. I don't think there's a lot of sense in me sitting here and talking through the slides with you. Now, if that's what you prefer, I'm more than happy to do that, but I have another idea that I'd like to try with you. And that is, how would you guys feel? And answer this by raising your hands. If you raise your hand, it's yes. If you don't raise your hand, it's no. I have the ability to push you out into smaller groups. In fact, I think you have the ability to push you out into smaller groups, and you guys go through the slideshow while I watch. If you have questions, by all means, that's what I want to come back to me, but I think you'll be more interested and more engaged in the conversation if you're working in a small group and talking to each other, as opposed to sitting here for 20 minutes and listening to me talk. So if you agree with what I just said and you think this is at least worth trying, raise your hand. And if you disagree, if you just want me to talk and you want to sit there for 20 minutes and listen to me talk, don't raise your hand. Ready, set, go. And then talk it is. So, skin and its tissues. This slide is pretty much all testable. And basically you have the outer layer as the epidermis and the deeper layer as the dermis. Epi means on top of. The next slide. The epidermis, stratified squamous epithelium. Lainey, does that sound familiar to you? Stratified squamous?
Yup.
Yep. The basement membrane is the fifth layer of the epidermis, or is underneath the fifth layer of the epidermis, and that is something you need to know for the test. That basement membrane is important. Now, the dermis goes deeper than the epidermis. It's underneath it, and it contains those things. I don't need to read them. This item, notice I put at the bottom, is in Quizlet. So practice this slide for Quizlet, or practice Quizlet for that slide would be the better way. These are the layers. Know what keratinization is, and basically as cells move from the fifth or bottom layer of the epidermis and they get pushed up to the top layer, as they get pushed up, they're forming more and more keratin that accumulates in them. And then there are more of these, let me see if I find it on here, desmosomes. And these desmosomes are connectors between cells. So the cells become very keratinized and they become tightly connected with each other. The two layers that I kind of grayed out, you don't have to know as much about, but the three layers that I have that I didn't gray out, definitely know those three layers. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to know the other two layers. I'm just saying make sure you know more about those first three. They're the ones I'm going to be testing on. But you might be asked to list the 5 layers in order. So you have to know the 2 grade ones in order, but you don't have to know really much about them. John, you're not leaving, are you? Oh, okay. It's upstairs. I got it. You'll have to give me a little bit of time here. All right. Now we have the layers of the epidermis. We have a table here. This table's in Quizlet, so it's on your test. Just what is here is what you have to know. And I think I just went layers with characteristics. These melanocytes are interesting, so I left it on here, and this is what gives your skin its color. And some of us have more, some of us have less. Now, melanin is important because it will absorb UV light, and that UV light is what tends to be damaging to cells. Ultraviolet radiation can actually penetrate right down into the DNA and cause the DNA to separate. So that's generally how it causes cancer, is if it affects a gene on a DNA strand that's responsible for control of the cell cycle, and you lose control of a particular cell. And then that's how cancer forms. Now, the factors affecting skin color. 3 major factors. What you have in your genes, or basically how much melatonin or your melanocytes are releasing. Melanin, not melatonin. Melanin that your melanocytes are releasing versus how much sunlight you get or from tanning, and frankly even x-rays. So, but I don't think anybody stands in front of an x-ray machine to darken up any. Let's hope not. And then there are physiological factors. You know that your skin will turn a darker color of orange than it currently is if you eat a lot of carrots. So if you're eating foods that have carotene, a lot of carotene, you're going to see that in your skin. Now, jaundice is what happens. It's a yellowing of the skin due to a problem with well, it could be multiple systems, but it's usually associated with the liver. You've seen people go flush before, and so you know there's vessels very close to the surface. If they dilate, you get pinker. If they constrict, well, you look paler, and we'll go from there. Tanning and skin cancer. Guys, don't tan. It's not worth it. It's not worth looking, this whatever image that you think you need to look right now. And then when you're 35 or 40 years old, you have skin like a turtle and it looks horrible. So don't do it. It's not worth the risk of cancer. And frankly, you're going to look horrible later because of it. Protect your skin. If you're out in the sun, put on sunblock. The largest, highest block you can find, and do yourself a favor. Well, that's the epidermis. Now we have the dermis. That's the layer that's deeper, and the dermis is really the layer that is more active. It has nerve cells, it has blood vessels. It's where you find the accessory items for skin, such as hair follicles and sweat glands. 2 layers to the dermis, and there they are. You do need to know the accessory structures, but my goodness, you guys are all very familiar with hair, nails, and, well, sweat's something that we all do. So, the skin glands. Nails have 3 parts. Do know the 3 parts, the plate, the bed, and the 3rd part there. I'm not going to try to say it wrong. Notice I grayed out a part here for hair. You don't need to know that. Do know that hair has erector pilae muscles, and that's what gives you goosebumps or makes your hair stand up like the hair on your skin. As a clinical application, and Nuzo, no comment from you, baldness. And baldness can come in different patterns, is associated with changes in testosterone or estrogen. And there's also autoimmune disorder, where your immune system will start to attack hair follicles, and that's called alopecia. On to glands. So in the dermis, you have a couple different types of glands. This is one. This one is particularly interesting, I think, or particularly relevant because it's associated with acne. And here's why. So if with the onset of the androgen hormones, especially if there's a high level of androgen hormones, these glands will overproduce and they get clogged with either extra fluid or dead epithelial cells. And when they get blocked, it creates an anaerobic environment, perfect for anaerobic bacteria to grow. And that's what causes causes the infection and inflammation. And you know that as acne. Above and beyond, we have sweat glands and apocrine and eccrine glands. Just know a little bit about each of those. More so that they exist, and just the highlights there is all you'll need to know. If you like it in a table, just to keep all the information straight, there it is. I think I put that in Quizlet already. I love functions, so know the functions of the skin. And you'll probably end up with an essay question instead of just multiple choice and matching because, well, if we end up doing a test this way, it's going to be too easy to just look up multiple choice questions. Everyone's going to get 100. So we're probably going to have some essays, and you will have an essay on the regulation of body temperature. Know what's on this slide, and know in the bigger sense, okay, so here's the 4 methods of heat loss. This isn't new. When we did hormones, this is where you first saw this diagram. So how do we regulate body temperature? And that's what that diagram's about. So temperature can go one of two ways. It can go too high or it can go too low. Both of them have different effects on the body that are listed there. A fever is worth talking about. And a lot of times when you get feverish, you'll take medication to try to combat the fever. For example, Tylenol lowers a fever. Well, I'm not always sure that that's the right direction to go. Certainly, if you have a fever of 104 degrees, you need to probably get it down. That's getting dangerous to the point where you may start, killing you instead of just the infection. But as long as you have just a mild fever, 102 degrees or less, go with it. In fact, if I get sick, I usually cover up with a bunch of blankets. I'll put on a tassel hat, and I'll try to increase the fever to help fight the infection or kill whatever it is that is causing the problem. So don't always be in a huge hurry to get rid of a fever. It's your body doing what needs to be done in order to kill bacteria and viruses. So bacteria and viruses cannot multiply when your body temperature rises. They can exist in your body still up to a certain point, but they can't multiply. So if you bring your body temperature up to a certain level and hold it there for a period of time, you really disrupt their ability to cause disease. Okay, wounds and burns. Certainly you're familiar with these just because of your own experience. You can have a shallow cut that just fills in with epidermal cells. You barely even notice it. Or you can have a deep cut that results in a scab and then eventually a scar. There kind of walks you through the steps of what happens in a deeper cut, right up into the forming of a scab. Burns, there are 3 types. Know the 3 types, know a little bit about each type, but when it comes to the rule of 9s, notice I grade that out. I won't test you on the rule of 9s. But the rule of 9s is basically dividing the body into different regions, and each region is a factor of 9. It could be like 9, it could be 18, it could be 27. There's a certain percentage, so you could quickly estimate what percentage of a person's body has been burnt, be it 1st, 2nd, or 3rd degree burns. Using the rule of 9s, that's why it exists. If you were an EMT, if you were working in an emergency room, you would be very familiar with the rule of 9s in order to communicate on your documentation what percentage of a person's body was affected. And finally, lifespan changes. That will be on your test. So these are the different things that happen to your skin as you become older. Notice I do not have most of those yet. Hardly any of them. Nuzo, don't comment. So, if you were able to have the lecture notes in front of you at the same time, you'll see that the lecture notes went through the slides and just added a little more detail. And that brings us then to the question bank that I've shared with you here. Oops. And there it is. So let me blow this up a little bit. This gives you the ability to then look through any number of questions. Let's just say this is where I'll pull the multiple choice questions from. I'm going to try to avoid true-false questions. Even though they're still on this document, I'm going to try to avoid them on your test. So this is why I gave you guys presenter privileges so that you could get in, open this document, and just go through the questions and talk about them together as a group. To do this, it might be easier to break off into groups. And I don't know, I think it's worth trying. Or you can try to do this as a whole group activity. And right now, I'm trying to find where it is that I can break you off into groups. So I guess we're not going to do that today until I can figure out how to do it again. I know it's here somewhere. All right, so maybe next time. Do you guys have any questions? If you do, raise your hand. If not, that's what I have for you today. I can leave this, well, I will leave this open. I'm just going to stop the recording and you can do what you want with the question bank. I do want a little bit of feedback from you though, and that is, give me a moment to pull a poll up here. Almost done. Okay, so I'm going to push a poll out to you, and it's basically just asking, was this session helpful? If you agree that this was helpful, you know, to what % do you agree? And can you give me any feedback as to what might help more or what I can do next time that might help you? Okay, 3, and we'll close that from there. Any feedback? Anything that you have seen others or that you think would help?
So you know how you had like the thing on the side whenever you were on your home screen that had like the tab to get onto it? Like the live tab thing?
Yep, let me see if I know what you mean here.
I don't think mine has.
Whoops, Let me do that again. I closed it as fast as I opened it. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yeah.
And you're talking about this, right?
Yeah, the top one on mine is homepage.
Yeah. So you were already logged on and probably in Collaborate when I added that. I was in the session and then jumped over here and added that. If you were to refresh, it'll show up.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, guys, that was today's session. A recording of this session will be posted right here in whenever YouTube can render it, and we'll go from there. I plan on doing this every Monday and every Thursday at noon. If you caught that, raise your hand real quick. Perfect. So most of you
On
heard me say,
Thursday,
yep.
on Thursdays at noon, we have a Zoom meeting for Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm doing biology at 11. I was going to do human bio at noon, and then horticulture at 1. And I don't think I can do human bio at 1 because some of you have math class then.
Okay, I'll just tell Miss Jackson that.
Okay. I can work with it, just not sure right now how I want to change that. So,
Well, like, this is more important than Spanish, so.
okay.
Will you send out a remind before you do this every time?
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy to do. Guys, any other thoughts? Those are all good ones.
I have a question about the last test that we took because I never got a chance to finish it.
Go in and finish it.
Okay. I tried to email you about it because I didn't know if you wanted anyone getting on tests at home, but.
Well, with the future tests, like I said, I'm going to include essays. And if we have to test at home from here on out, then it is what it is, right? But
Okay,
at this
thank
point,
you.
yeah, at this point, you don't have any other option. It's either finish the test or don't finish it. But let me know somehow when you finish it so I know to go looking for it, because otherwise I might not.
Okay, because I noticed that my grade was a 79, and then I checked and I was like, oh yeah, I never finished that test before we left school.
Yep, not a problem. And I can go back and change the grade. But again, I might need you to remind me.
Okay, I can send you an email when I finish my test.
Perfect. Okay, anybody? Go ahead.
I also have to make up a test. So how do you want me to do that?
Which test? Which chapter?
I'm not sure. I know it's like one from before.
Okay. You can either send me a message through Remind. If I did it correctly, you should be able to reply to me through Remind, or through email, and we can look that up together then and figure it out.
Okay.
The remind thing didn't work for me. I tried to send you a message on a remind and it said that you don't accept replies.
Okay, I thought I changed
That's
the
what
setting.
mine said too.
All right. I'll go back in and check that again and try to figure out what setting I have to change to make that happen.
Yeah, because the only time it worked was whenever you, like, put the separate number for us to reply to.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. And that was not through Remind. That was just texting, straight up texting to my phone. Okay, fair enough. So there's something there I've got to fix. Oh, guys, don't forget to work through the Khan Academy videos. 10 of you have, the rest of you haven't. That's what they're there for. They're to supplement the instruction. If you watch a video a day or 2 videos a day, if you're behind, it'll be more than enough. Okay, anybody else? Then let's call it a day. It was good talking with you, and I'll see most of you on Thursday, I hope. Take care.